of a new information republic. The old power structures are coming down. Journalism school taught us to be gatekeepers, but that has radically changed. The audience is no longer tame or passive, and the truth is now ferocious, restless, rebellious, and is calling for new champions. And those champions are you, ladies and gentlemen, you, the grassroots journalists. For far too long, journalism has been treated like a shrine, a sacred and high secret high place. Imaginatively, journalism is viewed as high walls, guarded gates, secret passwords, known only to a chosen few. But the world has changed. Power has changed. Narratives have changed. Power is no longer what you hold and hold. Power is what you unleash. And today, the challenge as we wind up the conference is what we unleash. After 5 days of discussions and sharing wisdom, some of which I followed online, especially a session today on AI, we can only unleash something unstoppable. A people-powered, truth-fueled, radically democratic journalism revolution. Towards that end, allow me to share with you 3 radical ideas that I believe is the future of grassroots journalism. Allow me to add a disclaimer. What I'm about to suggest is not government policy. It is just what I sincerely believe. Idea number 1, you need to create a people's newsroom, where citizens become editors and the rest of us become consumers. I urge you to start your own thing beyond what you do from newsrooms. If you've been able to sit here for 5 days without an editor-in-chief, then you can start your own thing. Do not wait for big investment and structure. Instead, reorganize newsrooms as we know them and make them people-driven. I'm pitching to you something outrageous, bold, and unthinkable in the old power. Something unthinkable in the setup that exists. The good news is that you don't need heavy budgets to own how you will distribute the news. My first hustle as a journalist was before I went to journalism school, and I worked for Standard from Embu as a correspondent. Those days, we were paid using a string of the published story. They would measure on a string and then on a ruler, and every centimeter was paid at 1 shilling. So I understand grassroots journalism. In fact, my first arrest happened in a coffee factory. Some people didn't want the story told, so they tricked me that they had an exclusive. Once I got in, they locked me up in a cherry, a place where the husk had been removed, and beat me up. And that became my first beating in public life. So I understand the challenges that we go through. I therefore urge you that you put up the People's Newsroom website where you can tell the story yourself and have a way to earn the money direct. A newsroom where the border writer, the mama boga, the watchman are the new owners of information. In any case, they witness news long before the journalist arrives. They will be the cameraman, the storyteller, and all you need to do as journalists is to curate and verify to meet journalism standards and what journalism school taught you. A newsroom without a newsroom, an editorial desk without an editor-in-chief, a bulletin written by ordinary citizens in real time. Proverbs 18:13 reminds us to answer before listening. That is folly and shame. For far too long, the media has answered before listening. I therefore urge you to quickly adopt the power of a people's newsroom. Idea number 2. The invisible stories. Our cameras are addicted to politics, and politics is good. I've been in the political field for a while. However, we must shift the pen and the camera away from politics as an end and start focusing on the stories that feel and what you do yourselves. And that is the only time that you will meet the words of Prophet Isaiah, who records in chapter 58 and verse 1, that cry aloud, spare not, show my people their transgressions. I challenge you to align with government, and this is where the controversy begins. I challenge you to work with government. I'm not asking you to be cheerleaders of government. I'm challenging you to rework your perspectives. Good journalism is not necessarily fighting government. It is actually telling the story as it is. Government, just like private entities, has realized how it does its advertisements, and therefore to capture government investment, tell your story from the people's side. So that I'm not misquoted, let me explain. Why should you as grassroots journalists not work with SHA? Why should you not work with affordable housing? Senior journalists, Tuambiana Ekweli, working in newsrooms in the city, have premium insurance coverage. I have worked for Citizen TV, I've worked for the Voice of America, I've worked for Baraka FM, I've worked for print, I've worked for radio, and I've worked for TV. And I know what I'm saying. With senior journalists get insured and they get the premium insurance. Let me ask in this room, how many people have private insurance of any type? By a show of hands. So if you do not have insurance, my question again is, why should you not work with SHA? Why should you not work with affordable housing? How many people, other than where you come from, you own a home in the city? Anyone? Again, that should answer you on why you must work with affordable housing. Senior journalists, some senior journalists are in the enviable category of 75,000 Kenyans who won 100,000 shillings and over. Very few, if any of the grassroots journalists earn that much. Only 30,000 Kenyans qualify for mortgages in banks. Ask yourself, do you qualify for a mortgage in a bank? Then why should you not amplify a working program and in the process actually negotiate to own houses? Who said that grassroots journalists should never be a homeowner? Again, I'm not asking you to be a parrot of government. I'm only saying you will be failing as a frontline information warrior if you ignore what is working just simply because you've been fed with a lie that journalism is opposing government. Government has enough opposition over the years. No journalist can qualify as opposition. So you'd rather align yourself to the programs. One day, the journalists of Big Media House, who I will not mention here, came to see the then Deputy President at Karen, and I was in that meeting. And at the time, they were very negative in terms of their stories to the Deputy President then. After listening to them, he told them a thing that remains in my mind and memory. He told them, continue writing negative stories about me. In any case, you have written the same negative stories about me from 1997 and every time I win the election. Even now you write the negative stories and I'll be president of Kenya. That actually came to pass. President William Ruto is the current holder of the office at State House. You can choose to write negative stories without an end or to write stories as they are. In any case, objectivity in 2025 is not balancing the story. That was a 1981 concept taught in journalism school. Objectivity, from where I sit, is telling the truth even if that story has one side. In fact, it is a fact that we are in Paradise Beach Resort. As we speak now, that is a fact. There is no balance to that story. There cannot be, you don't have to call someone who works for Serena for you to balance the story to say you're in Paradise Beach Resort. So objectivity is not balance. Objectivity is simply the truth. And as Malcolm X said, the media is the most powerful entity on earth because it controls the mind of the masses. Finally, my final idea is that we must rewrite the economy of the newsroom. We must rewrite the economy of the newsroom. And that is my final idea. Our fight today is not only against governments or corporations that go wayward. It is a fight against digital gods, unseen algorithms that shape attention, emotion, and belief. Algorithms that amplify anger, algorithms that reward outrage, algorithms that profit from our division. But today, we must declare an algorithmic mutiny. We must refuse to be manipulated. I've read with a lot, I've heard it from your radio stations with a lot of amusement. As a key leader or a person who calls themselves a leader and who was deputy president, say that elections were rigged. I challenge you to show me how a Kenyan election can be rigged. Even if, for instance, you are to stuff ballot papers like they want us to believe, how would you then match the stuffed ballot boxes with the king's kit? Because when you get to a polling station, you have to check your fingerprints on a king's kit, then go and vote. If you stuff the ballot box, how do you stuff a king's kit? So some things are so big a lie to be believed. But some people have made it a tradition for them to believe. And in the process, they have rewired our algorithms to actually believe you can rig a Kenyan election. I challenge them to begin telling the truth. But I challenge you as media more to find that truth. Not as media personnel, but for you to work with communities. Because, as I've told you, things have changed. People no longer listen to media houses speak or to politicians speak. If you work with communities and tell the story with communities, you create more powerful platforms. You all know what Harari said. If you cannot understand the algorithm will understand you. It is up to you to choose. Like Che Guevara declared, the revolution is not an apple that falls when ripe. You have to make it fall. My friends, journalism is no longer profession, it's no longer a desk, it's no longer a laminated press card. Journalism is a civic muscle, a public weapon, a collective shield, a revolutionary duty. I end with a motto of Thomas Sankara, who told us we must dare to invent the future. And today we do. A journalism of the people, for the people, by the people. A journalism that creates a people's newsroom. Congratulations for this conference and to the winners today. And I hope next time we shall also play our part. I've noticed that, I don't know whether this changes as we continue, that you've been given a trophy, a certificate, and a box to hold. So for every winner, that's the number one in every category, I am going to transfer to your coordinator. I've been told 11 categories. For every winner, I will add 10,000 shillings to go in every winner. And I will transfer that money to your coordinator to ensure that goes. But next year, I'm assuming this will be annual. Next year, I pray for that partnership. I urge you to come and work with government programs. In any case, Joy Yona story are Safaricom negative in your platforms because they advertise. Why then should government advertise with you and you do a negative story? We are going to be tough on government advertising to push our narrative. So we will advertise with you as I've been urged here, but it must be based on the people's stories. Because why should we give you money to Lima? Why should I invest? I give you a media house money, then you go, you spend your entire 7 stories hitting on government. There must be give and take in advertising. We have a product called SHA, we have a product called affordable housing, we have a product called cheaper fertilizer, we have a product called, by the way, 1,250 free Wi-Fi zones in Kenya. We have a good story. Give us a proposal and we will invest in it, but we will only invest where we get value. Because in any case, even Coca-Cola, I've never seen Coca-Cola pay an advert for you to say their bottle doesn't look good. If you show me that, then I will advertise for you to write negative stories. But as long as you don't show me the big brands advertising for you to do negative stories, then why should you expect government, the biggest advertiser, to advertise for you to do negative stories? And by the way, on that one, you are free to quote me. God bless you and keep you.